Good morning and welcome to the NBA Daily for January 8th, 2025. Coming up, Zion Williamson is back, but Anthony Edwards had a little bit too much juice. We got Joe Vardon to talk about the Cavs and Thunder big game, and the Phoenix Suns and LA Lakers had some bad losses last night. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Zena.
Morning, Dave.
Zena, I love these shows that we get to start out on a positive note. So often we're talking about guys getting hurt, and we've been talking about Zion Williamson all year long. Just kind of bummed out, actually, that he hasn't been able to play. Finally making his return against the Timberwolves. And listen, the Timberwolves, they spoiled that return. Anthony Edwards had a big game, and the Wolves get the win. They're a better team than the Pelicans. But right. Zena, I just want to start with Zion. How did he look to you aside from lean? He did look lean.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
The body fat percentage is down.
The beard looks
like
great.
All of his fast twitch muscles were on a faster level. Like it was unbelievable watching him. It was so clean to watch him, not only on offense, but particularly on defense, how he was in those passing lanes. Like Julius Randle got some really tough buckets tonight. And it's because Zion Williamson made him work for every single bucket that he got. But yeah, he looked strong. He looked long. He looked active. And most importantly, I'm looking at this entire Pelicans team. And I don't know if you remember, Dave, we said early in the season when DeJounte Murray was hurt with his hand, we said that Atlanta may have won this trade. Because Dyson Daniels have been balling out in Atlanta. But now that DeJounte Murray is back, and you're looking at a team with DeJounte Murray, 6'4" with a 6'10" wingspan. Zion Williamson, 6'6" with a 6'10" wingspan. Yves Missy, who is 6'11". You got Herb Jones. I mean, the length on this team is unbelievable. But with DeJounte Murray being long and fast, and then you've got Zion strong and fast, it's chaotic right now out there for the Pelicans, just agitating their opponents.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Pelicans could do hands across America, just by themselves, right? Like, shout out Jimmy Carter. But they look good. Zion looked good. I mean, he had a windmill dunk in this guy, 360 windmill dunk on a breakaway that he just walked into. So he looked like Zion. His second jump was really nice tonight. He had a putback on his own miss. I was so happy to see this guy looking like an NBA player. And this might, look, it's early. This might be the best I've seen him look just walking around. I was really happy. He had 22.6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, a block. He was +8 in 28 minutes. So he played like Zion too, just had an immediate impact. And you mentioned that team, how long they are. Also, how about the Pelicans? They looked like a basketball team for, in my opinion, one of the first times all year with him out there, right? Everyone got to fall into their place.
Yeah, there was a really great play. Just thinking about how fast Zion's looking, but particularly how the Pelicans are playing into him. There were 2 different plays in which DeJounte Murray and Zion Williamson choked up Julius Randle and choked up Edwards, and it led to breakaway dunks for Zion and for DeJounte Murray, easy points. There's one play in which Zion Williamson and Julius Randle were both running in transition, and it was like Zion Williamson turned on the speed when he saw that his teammate was ready to give him the outlet pass. This is what New Orleans Pelican ball needs to look like. They're young. They're fast. They need to connect. They felt more like a team that's been together for a lot longer than Zion Williamson, who's only played with them for 6 games, this season. It was fun.
Listen, Zena, you play in the post. Let me tell you a secret about guards and wings. When we know we're going to get the ball, we're running harder. We're running faster. You guys got to run all the time and just hope. But we know, when we see we're getting it, it's time to turn on the Jets. Anthony Edwards, 32 points again. I mean, just big game from him. 9 rebounds, 7 of 11 from 3. So much for, not being able to deal with the double team and not be able to handle the pressure. Anthony Edwards is leading the NBA in 3-point makes. I mean, this is just, he's having a crazy season. And if the Timberwolves were doing what we expected them to do, we'd be talking about Ant for MVP right now.
We absolutely would. Had there not been some drop-offs in their performances, it's just been a kind of up and down season for Minnesota. But I would say in the second half of this first portion, it's definitely looking more positive. The adjustment that Anthony Edwards has made since he publicly said that he's not sure of how to handle the double teams. This was that Boston game 4 games ago now, had 15 points against the Celtics. Since then, he's dropped 53 against the Pistons. He dropped 37 against the Clippers and now 32 against the Pelicans. I mean, clearly something got into his head. Someone got into his head. He got in his own head. Who knows? But they're clearly making the adjustments to ensure that he gets the ball and he's getting the ball in the right places. I didn't like the fact that he closed out the fourth quarter, mainly only shooting from the free throw line to get some points. Definitely want him to be consistent all the way throughout. That's been the main thing about his game, is consistency from first quarter to fourth. But overall, getting to his spots really nicely in the first portion of the game to get the lead in the comfortable space from the Pelicans to get the win.
Well, speaking of uncomfortable spaces, the Phoenix Suns are probably in a very uncomfortable place right now, right?
Dave.
The Suns got beat by the Charlotte Hornets, which is just sad because this was only the Hornets' 8th win. They win 115-104. LaMelo Ball had 32 points. Welcome back, buddy. We'll talk about that pass in a minute, but we start with the negative here because it's the Suns and they have expectations. And we just talked about them on the show yesterday. They get that win against the Sixers and it is a back-to-back. I'm not throwing this one away, Zena. I'm not going to let them get off light and say it's a back-to-back because Devin Booker finally showed up for the first time in a while. We talked about his injury and how he's had a rough season. 39 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds, had a great game. Yeah. That's a game, Zena, that I just don't think the Suns can afford to lose when they're playing so poorly.
I agree. And especially when you have Devin Booker 1 point away from 40, and the fact that 2 of the superstars combined for 65 points, that is not something you want to throw away. It was the supporting cast that was non-existent tonight. And if you look at the fact that, Bradley Beal comes off the bench for the second time since 2016, definitely an adjustment, but he played well in the night before, having dropped 25 points. Next night, 10. But this was the performance that Devin Booker had the night before. He had 10 points. So they basically switched performances. They can't do that. They're superstars. They're big 3 for a reason. They got to be consistent, especially when your big Mason Plumlee's not providing much. Ryan Dunn didn't provide much in the starting position either. It's inconsistency from Phoenix. And I know it might have felt, just a little bit hard for Charles Lee, who had spent 9 seasons with Mike Budenholzer. And, this is his protege. He wanted to maybe show out in front of his mentor. And, I think Charlotte Hornets definitely did that. I'm sure Budenholzer was proud of his boy, Charles Lee.
And also Charles Lee, he's getting a better paycheck now. That assistant coach money and the same as the head coach money. Look, it's not great. Also, Yusuf Nurkic just got abused when he was out there. He was minus 22 in the 19 minutes. And we talked about that again yesterday.
Points. Not what you want to see out of your big guy.
That is an anchor around this team. LaMelo had 32. We mentioned he just came back from injury the other day. The biggest thing from this game, and this is why I love LaMelo Ball and will never be a hater, no matter on the basketball court. I mean, I'll hate about some other stuff. Don't get me wrong. He had a pass in this game that was to himself off the backboard. Now, number one, this is one of the hardest off the backboard passes I've ever seen, but it was a pass to himself and not for an alley-oop. It actually, Zena, to set up another pass to the dunker spot, which then Brandon Miller makes another pass for a dunk.
Right.
In my opinion, LaMelo Ball saw all of those passes and the dunk in his head before he did this. The guy is an artist.
If you ever watched LaMelo Ball highlights from Chino Hills, you know he's capable of this. He uses the backboard as another offensive option, another teammate to be able to just open up the space. This is the different definition of playing above the rim, right? Being able to use the backboard in that way. But having plays like that, scoring as at will, and then 10 rebounds, right? Let's not forget the other things that he added, 7 assists as well. I mean, this is, maybe we're not so surprised that LaMelo Ball is leading the fan vote for guards in the East. It makes sense. He is entertaining to watch, so much fun. And he's playing ball. He's balling out with his teammates, making sure they're incorporated, as well as making sure he's getting his own bucket. So I love the pass. I hope we see more. He's definitely going on the top 10 highlights for sure.
We're going to have to start calling him Spock. He's playing 5D chess when he's out there playing basketball.
He
The guy
really
is too
is.
good.
It's good.
The Lakers, they lost to the Mavs. And we got to mention, the Mavs are without Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. So,
and Daniel Gafford.
Oh, and Daniel Gafford. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
Derek Lively is starting for Daniel Gafford. So again, they run out this, they run out another weird starting lineup, but this time Spencer Dinwiddie's out there. So they do have a point guard on the floor, Maxi Kleber going back to the bench role. It makes a little bit more sense. And honestly, like the Lakers they didn't have anything on either side of the ball. Mavericks just were able to score anytime they wanted, and the Lakers just could not. I mean, they put up 97 points.
There are two things that I think that the Lakers could not have predicted tonight, and I think both of those factors were sitting on the bench. Quentin Grimes and Jaden Hardy. Quentin Grimes is capable of putting up big numbers. I still remember the 26-point performance he had against Cleveland. But he's so efficient, and he's such a quick sharpshooter. And it's got a solid unit kind of body. I mean, he was coming around screens really nicely. And also Jaden Hardy, also another sharpshooter. Both of them adding, 30, 33 off the bench, basically additional 30 points that the Lakers could not have predicted with 3 starting players out for the Mavericks. This is where the main points were lost for the Lakers. And overall, you got LeBron James still doing everything he can, including dunking on Derek Lively II, who wasn't in the league when he entered the league. It's not enough. They need more out of the Lakers.
I gotta say, I don't know if it's sad or awesome that one of the best dunks this year was by a 40-year-old, because he double pumped and dunked it left-handed on Derek Lively in the lane. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
He switched hands. He went up with his right and realized Derek Lively was there, and in midair switched the ball to his left hand and dunked it on top of his head. Yeah. Guys, the core control, the jump you have to be able to have that much time to make that decision in split timing. Oh, unbelievable.
Not the jump that he has, it's the jump that he's lost that I think about. It's like, how is he still doing that? And also he's lost a step. That doesn't feel fair. The Lakers dropped to 7-14 against teams over 500. And the point is, if you're a contender, you have to beat the good teams, and especially when they're shorthanded. So I think that, look, the Lakers, clearly they're not done dealing. Gabe Vincent came back, scored no points. I mean, that's a big deal. Rui had a bad night on
Dorian
both ends.
Finney-Smith is finding his steps, you can tell, within this team. But overall, yes, this was a number 5, number 6 matchup in the Western Conference. This was important. That's why these games, you cannot throw these games away, because this matters of playoff position versus play-in position.
And finally, the Hawks pick up a win in a game where Trae Young has 24-20, which is kind of just old hat for Trae Young. But the end of this game was nuts, Zena. So the Hawks are up 121-118, and Utah Jazz are kind of scrambling. It's less than 10 seconds left. Colin Sexton hits a game-tying 3 with not much time on the clock. Ball is inbounded to who else? Trae Young, who hits what the NBA is crediting as a 49-foot buzzer beater game-winning 3 to put the Hawks up. So that was his 22nd, 23rd, and 24th points from 49 feet away. He's
insane. And then after he hits the shot with a defender fully in front of his body, he hits the shoulder, like the shoulder rub of ice tray. It's chilly in here. It's frigid in here. I mean, it's between him and Steph Curry, between the disrespectful shots to close out games, for some cases, close out seasons in Steph's case, and then do the most disrespectful celebrations. I don't know what's worse. The dice on the Knicks court, or this frigid? I
don't know. It's pretty.
Shoulder.
The dice on the court is pretty rough. I mean, but here's the thing, though. You know what's funny is that Trae Young leans into being a heel, and Steph Curry has this mild mannered sort of personality and sort of like family guy. I wonder, what would it take for Trae Young to not be a heel?
I don't know. I do think he leans into being the villain, but when you're putting up shots like this to close out games that people are feeling really excited about and feeling confident about, and you're killing dreams like this, I mean, you must get something out of it.
Trae, grow the beard out, shave your head. Stick around. We got Joe Vardon coming up next to talk about Cleveland and OKC tomorrow night. It's a huge week for the NBA, and especially here at the NBA Daily. Zena, we've got a regular season Super Bowl style game coming up between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Cleveland Cavaliers. They've been on a collision course all season, and we didn't realize it until now. We got our guy, Joe Vardon. He just wrote about the 31-4 Cleveland Cavaliers, and they've been saying, don't let us remind you too much of these other great teams. But Joe, can you set up the historic matchup that we're going to see between these two teams Wednesday night?
Yes, I can. There has never been a game between teams that are both on, I guess. Well, I was going to say 10-game win streaks. This is the third time ever that both teams on winning streaks of at least 10 games are going to play each other.
Wow.
The first time ever that one of the teams is on a 15-game winning streak, which is what we have with Oklahoma City riding a franchise best 15-game winning streak coming to Cleveland to play the Cavs, who have won 10 in a row, all by double digits, which has never happened before in franchise history. So the Cavs are just hammering everybody they play. And then secondly, the Cavs also have a 15-game winning streak under their belts this season. That's how they open the year. So this is the first time also in NBA history that we've got two teams from each conference that have a winning percentage of at least .850 this late in the year. I mean, this is going to be game 36 for both teams. The Cavs are 31-4. Which is tied for the fifth best record ever through that many games. And right behind them are the Oklahoma City Thunder. We've got two teams that are both legitimately on track to win 70 games. I guess for both of them to do it, maybe they'll split these next two because the Thunder host Cleveland next week. So, a couple other ones that are really good. This is the second time in league history that we've had multiple teams, two teams, win at least 30 of their first 35. As Dave and I was talking off air, the last time that happened was in 71-72 when the Lakers and the Bucks both did it. And I believe, as Dave mentioned, they wound up in the finals. So is this a finals matchup? History kind of says that it is. We also have, to kind of stop it here, we've got the number one offense in the league in Cleveland, which currently they are on track to post the second best offense of all time. Now, that sounds awesome, and it is, but the Celtics of last year set the greatest offense ever. So this has a lot more to do with the dramatic change in style of how we play our sport than anything else. But still, second best offense ever, maybe by the time it's all said and done, the greatest. And the Thunder have the number one defense in the league. So, we're really going to see, we're going to see who blinks here as far as the two best teams, historic. One's great. Both are really good on both sides of the ball, but we were talking about bests here.
Now, you talked about the Thunder's defense. I'm actually curious about the Thunder's offense being led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, averaging about 31 points, and also providing for his teammates, averaging 6 assists as well. When you think about the way that the backcourt of Cleveland, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, they have to carry a lot of load on the offensive side. Someone's got to carry that load on the defensive side in terms of guarding Shai. Who do you think Cleveland's going to put on SGA?
Well, this has been a point of discussion in Cleveland. New coach Kenny Atkinson has talked about this. And one of the things that does seem to be different under Kenny than under Darius's previous coaches is they are asking him to take these challenges. They prefer not to, quote unquote, hide him. They know that opposing teams, will occasionally try to hunt him, hide and hunt. We're using all these loaded fun terms here. But listen, I would suspect that you will see either Darius start there, or you can mess around with whoever they have at the 3. It's been Dean Wade. He's 6'9".
Wow.
They would like to put a bigger body on Shea. Shea's too fast probably for that.
I was going to say.
So, I mean, Donovan is sturdier and better defensively than he's given credit for. But Lou Dort is a load and certainly too heavy for a Darius. So, just kind of working through it like that. I think you start out with Darius. Shea's going to score a ton. But you've got the best offense in the league. And I think, you use good offense to set up a defense.
Well, let's flip it to that offense. I mean, you talked about Oklahoma City. They are the best defense in the league. They may be the best defense in NBA history. They're certainly one of the most disruptive that we've ever seen. How does Cleveland attack that defense that's so flexible, that can switch? They can flip from a zone to a switch to, I mean, they basically have every single coverage that you want. They can play small. They can play at least one big. But how does Cleveland's offense attack that defense?
Well, I mean, I guess the short answer is I don't know. Because,
nobody's figured it out yet.
Right, exactly. A lot of coaches will be tuning in for this.
Absolutely, yeah. And I would be about the last person they'd ask for advice when it comes to X's and O's. But what makes the Cavs offense so special? It's not just that they're really good on the ball. It's not just that they are shooting more threes, I think, even than Boston is right now. It's not just that they have 2 guys that can roll to the rim. It's that they do all of this. And there's so much happening away from the ball. Unlike, pretty much any offense they've ever had, there is a certain element of cutting and moving without the ball. There's the extra pass. Charles Lee, who was an assistant in Boston last year, now he coaches the Hornets. He was talking about this the other night in comparing, at my request, the 16 Warriors to the Cavs of today. And you're talking about the pressure when the Warriors were that team 8-9 years ago, and the Cavs, who ultimately beat them in the finals, but just whether it was that year or those 4 years, the Cavs would talk about the pressure that the Warriors put on you, on your defense, like just the pressure of Steph coming over top screens and shooting those threes, and then the slip screens and the, Clay moving without the ball, and just all the things that could happen to you. And Charles' point was they don't have Steph, but they do have so many different facets to what they do. So, if you are trying to take away the catch and shoot 3, the corner 3, which is something we talked about off air, if you're trying to take that away from Cleveland, then you are definitely leaving yourself vulnerable to, Jared Allen or Evan Mobley at the rim. If you are trying to take away, that second pass that's again around the perimeter, if you go behind on screens, Darius Garland will shoot that pocket 3 and he will make it. So I think that you're looking at a fabulous chess match that's coming here, where you're going to see both sides shine at what they do best. I guess I'll just keep in mind that the Thunder, like, they're great defensively, but it's in an era where it's almost hard to judge because of the amount of points being scored. I do think they're still allowing well over 100 points per
100 possessions. Yeah.
So that's still happening, but I mean, Shea is a good defender. Dort is awesome. Williams is out there. They've got the size and the flexibility and the speed. It's certainly as tough of a matchup as you're going to find maybe outside of Boston.
I love that you call this a chess match, because that's exactly what I think about when I think about these 2 teams coming up against each other. And after watching the way that OKC adjusted against both the New York Knicks and the Celtics, particularly in the second half, I'm thinking, what do the Cavs have up their sleeves to be able to switch in the way that OKC can go small ball, and then they can bring in Hartenstein and be big. They can bring in Kenrich Williams and be big. I don't know if the Cavs have the same flexibility and malleability. Like, Do you think that the Cavs have something up their sleeve in terms of being able to give a different look to OKC?
You used at least 4 words that I can't spell in running through that.
Just adjustments.
So we'll start there. Listen, Evan Mobley is different than he used to be. And that is one of the biggest reasons why the Cavs are who they are this year. Is he is an actual threat to shoot a 3 and make one, which has changed everything as far as like what defenses have to do to go out there and honor that. And if they don't, he can shoot it. There's room around the perimeter. But that means then that they can adjust to what you do. He can play the 5, and then you can have 4 shooters around him. They can interchange Jarrett and Evan. They start the game with both of them, but then, they're both each other's backup for most of the rest of the game. You can go small and have Dean Wade at the 5. I mean, he's, the thing about Dean Wade is he gets hurt often and usually at the worst times. He misses swaths of playoff games. He did last year. And then the year before there was a confidence thing. When he's right and out there, the Cavs win a bunch, and that's currently the case. He's 6'9", but he can do that. He can be your center in a small ball. They've got a number of shooters. We mentioned off air, Isaac Okoro is not going to be out there. Sam Merrill may be. He's like a Kyle Korver light. So they can do. They can play however you want them to play.
Yeah, it's a really good basketball team. Who's going to blink first? We got 2 games in 8 days between the 2 best teams in the league. Can anybody win both of these, Joe?
Yeah. This is the last test.
You sound so confident.
This is the last test for Cleveland.
Ooh.
We knew Oklahoma City was going to be good this year. They were they won. They had the number 1 seed in the West last year. They came into this season as a highly regarded ball club. The Cavs were just, as far as expectations go, they were just sort of there,
and they had injuries too.
Yeah. I mean, just somewhere in that 4 to 7 range in the East. And they have obviously played way above that. That's not who they are. They are, a truly historically great regular season team. Now we can say that. But if they can handle these 2 games, win at least one, then I think that puts all of the questions to bed. That will show that they are physical enough to play against a Boston or a New York in the East. You worry about the finals later. But that'll show that. It'll show they can handle the pressure, and that they can deal with teams that are truly dynamic, that they don't see that much. That's it for me. So I guess so to your question, Dave, can either of these teams win both of the games? I think they can. I'm going to say that's Oklahoma City. I'm giving them the benefit here because to me, the team that's being tested is Cleveland. They're the ones who are being judged. I guess I expect a split. I will tell you, if you look at the quality of the opponents lately, obviously, the Thunder have just had to deal with New York and Boston. The Cavs are coming off a game against Charlotte, but then before that, they were out west. But, the Warriors aren't good right now, and the Lakers are okay, and the Nuggets are not who they used to be. And then the Mavericks didn't have Kyrie or Luka out there. So, certainly the more tested team right now, the last 2 weeks, has been the Thunder. And I wonder if that has anything to do with how this plays out.
They're also taking that NBA Cup loss personally. It seems like, they're just not going to lose the rest of the year. Joe Vardon, thank you very much. Next time, we're going to talk about expansion for sure. And I really need to pick your brain on the NBA partnering with the EuroLeague. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you guys for listening. For Joe Vardon and Zena Keita, I'm Dave DuFour, and this has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for waking up with us.